All right, fellas, this will be the Week 3 Power Rankings video. So here we have teams ranked 1 through 10. The top three criteria I use are your overall record, your record in your last three, and your points for in your last three. It makes up about 80% of my consideration. I also consider any injuries or maybe any situation changes around your players that may affect how your team performs in the future. For example, if even though MAGA Kitchens is 3-0, let's say his top four scorers all broke their legs and they're done for the year, he can't be the number one ranked team because his team's not moving in the right direction. So with that being said, the rankings, the green is if you've moved up since the last ranking, and your differential will be in red if you've moved down from the last power rankings. But we'll get into the individual teams now, and one thing I wanted to make a quick note of is because I'm making this after Thursday Night Football, the positional rankings have changed a little bit. So if you're looking at your player on the fantasy app and his positional ranking is 1 or 2 higher or lower, it's probably because the Cardinals and Seahawks players got updated. At 1 here we have MAGA Kitchens. So moving forward as the season goes on here, Lamar Jackson, Bijan Robinson, JSN, absolute locks. Like, you feel great having those pieces in your lineup. Brian Thomas Jr., a lot to be desired there, but the talent's there. Quinshaw and Judkins, he leads all rookie rushers in rushing yards, even though he missed a week. So he's shown some great potential there. Great pickup for Cal. And then Rome Odunze has really broken out this year. Tight end, there's a little bit to be desired there, but overall, Cal just has a very, very strong team. And he's got some solid pieces on his bench as well. David Montgomery played a big role in Cal's Week 3 win. And then Cortland Sutton's just like a solid like bye week receiver that Cal can use. And then a little sneaky stash down here for Cal. Cal actually has the QB2 right now in Caleb Williams as well. And then the most valuable player on Cal's team, like, this isn't necessarily just going to be stats based for all teams, but this is the guy that no matter what, if I had this roster, I could not trade this piece. And that's Lamar Jackson. I mean, just he really can win you any matchup at any given time. So at number 2, we have Mahomes Magic Show, my team. James Cook and Amon-Ra have been playing very, very well so far. Have honestly exceeded my expectations, even considering where I drafted them. But those guys have played great so far. Josh Jacobs has been very consistent. Emeka Egbuka has been consistent and looks like he has a higher ceiling than he's been playing at right now, especially with the Mike Evans injury. Patrick Mahomes is basically the entire Chiefs offense. So if they struggle, he's going to struggle. But even if they lose games, I mean, he really can still have some strong performances. Trey Benson, I touched on this in the trade video, but I like this fit for my team as opposed to Travis Etienne. I think Trey Benson has a higher ceiling than Travis Etienne just because I feel like if he's playing well, the Cardinals will lean on him. Whereas I feel like Travis Etienne, he's probably going to score 12 points a week on average, but I think there's too many pieces within the Jaguars offense that I think this was just a better fit for my team. And then the tight end position, I lost George Kittle, but Hunter Henry has played well so far as well. And then the MVP for my team has been James Cook. I mean, I think he's the RB2 over there. Yeah, RB2 listed. So just solid performance from my team so far. At 3rd here, we have Call of Jeudy. Josh Allen has been fantastic. Puka Nacua. Like I said this in the post-draft power rankings. I think Puka Nacua can legitimately have a wide receiver 1 overall season if Matthew Stafford plays all 17 games. He is a fantastic player, and he has the Cooper Kupp role. He is the number 1 option on every single passing play. And then some other pieces that have kind of broken out a little bit. Nico Collins kind of broke out of his slump this past week. Cam Scatterbo came onto the scene. Tyrone Tracy is injured. Juwan Johnson, Quentin Johnston, also kind of emerging talents up to this point in the fantasy season. Alvin Kamara taking a bit of a step back, but still like a solid bye week running back to use right now. And then the big piece is Alex's team Alex's team is projected, I think, 130. Oh yeah, there it is, 132 points this week, most in the league, and he doesn't even have Rashee Rice back yet. I mean, if this pace keeps up for Alex's team and he gets back Rashee Rice, I think Alex can have a very, very legit shot at a championship this year. And team MVP for Alex, Josh Allen. Just you can't trade Josh Allen. He's not quite Lamar, but I mean he's about as close as you're going to get. Josh Allen is an absolute dog. At 4, we have the greatest ever Sam's team. Jalen Hurts has been pretty solid so far. Derrick Henry, he had that one pretty rough week, as well as the fumbles, which has been pretty odd for Derrick Henry. But we've seen literally in week 1, we've seen that Derrick Henry still has it. So if Ravens can get on track a little bit here, I think Derrick Henry is a piece that Sam cannot move. Derrick Henry is too good of a player. DeAndre Swift, he's gotten better in recent weeks as the Bears have improved as an offense as a whole. I think that's just going to be the main piece for him. Is the better the Bears are, the better DeAndre Swift will be. Justin Jefferson, kind of limited with QB play. I didn't watch that Carson Wentz game, but I mean, if they're scoring 51 points, Justin Jefferson probably will be doing well. Ladd McConkey, huge disappointment. I was out on him in the post-draft power ranking video as well. I just not a big fan of Ladd McConkey, especially with the addition of Keenan Allen. Jake Ferguson, very strong player, especially with CeeDee Lamb out now. Juwan Jennings, kind of a boomer bust type player. He also gets hurt a lot, but I would say the other solid piece on Sam's bench is Devontae Smith. He's averaging the same amount of points as Juwan Jennings, but he's also pretty boomer bust, so bit of a risk game there for Sam. And then Sam sneakily has Drake May on his bench as well, who's also performed well up to this point in this season. So at 5 here, we have Team Elyaderani, Grayson's team, Jahmyr Gibbs, especially in this Week 3 game. That's the usage that I see Jahmyr Gibbs getting to the RB1 overall if he's used like that. And then Jordan Mason with Aaron Jones out. Looks like he'll be a pretty good hit for Grayson. That was a very smart pick by him. Drake London and Tet McMillan, they both have underperformed so far for where they were drafted, but I'd be betting on them to finish substantially higher than where both of them are averaging right now. Trey McBride, tight end 3 looks pretty good. You'd hope to get a little bit more out of him for where Trey McBride was drafted, but I mean, tight end 3, you're not going to really complain with that. George Pickens, also pretty interesting to see how the Cowboys' offense is going to change here without CeeDee Lamb. But as of now, he's the wide receiver 1 for the Cowboys. So Daniel Jones, also, the Colts have been fantastic so far this season. Looks like he's going to be a solid fantasy QB. It'll be interesting to see if the league adjusts to the Colts here. But so far, Daniel Jones has been great. The couple bench pieces for Grayson, he has Joe Burrow that may come back for the fantasy playoffs. It'll be interesting to see if Daniel Jones keeps us rolling, if Grayson goes with Joe Burrow down the stretch or Daniel Jones. And then also, obviously, Grayson traded for Travis Etienne. I think this was a good move for his roster as well. He has players like R.J. Harvey and Jordan Mason that kind of have that ceiling where if they play well, if Jordan Mason keeps playing well, they're not going to go back to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is going to recede his role to Jordan Mason. And then same with R.J. Harvey. He's way more of a long shot, but I think getting Travis Etienne, it kind of balances the high ceiling risk with just a floor player, depending on what Grayson feels is the best spot for his team. So at 6 here, we have Lisan, al-Gaib, Joe's team. And this is where you can start to see context affect how you view a lineup, because Joe's per game average numbers look great. They're probably, honestly, across the entire team as a combination, they're probably the best in the league. But you see Jamar Chase lose his quarterback. You see Garrett Wilson do great with Justin Fields, do not so great when Justin Fields gets hurt and Tyrod comes in, does great with Tyrod. But now is Justin Fields coming back? Are they still going to be good? We don't know. And then Zay Flowers, I kind of touched on the Intel video. I think he was outperforming himself as well. But Justin Herbert, great piece for Joe. Bucky Irving, that's my team MVP for Joe. Bucky Irving is a highly used player in a good offense. So really like Bucky Irving. Jalen Warren has also played very solid so far. He's by far going to outperform his draft position. Brock Bowers a little underwhelming so far, especially considering he was an early third-round pick. But looking at Joe's bench here, Terry McLaurin, he's a good piece if Joe can get, or not Joe, if Terry can get rolling here. And then Tony Pollard is a solid fill-in running back as well. So overall with Joe, I think there is a lot of talent here. I just think some situations may affect how Joe's teams performs as the season continues. All right, so at 7 here we have Colt 45s. This is pretty surprising to have an 0-3 team up at 7, but Colt's team has performed so well, but he cannot get a win. Christian McCaffrey and Devon Achane have been fantastic. I texted him around after the draft, and he told me he was going boom or bust this year. Well, his draft strategy has boomed. I doubted him, but it hit for Colt, and those two have been fantastic. DK Metcalf and Jacoby Myers, pretty weak at the wide receiver position, so I think that's something that Colt's going to have to figure out. J.K. Dobbins has played great so far. I don't think Colt has given him a start yet, so he hasn't gotten that production in his lineup, but I think J.K. Dobbins is a solid back for now. And Tyler Warren, he's also looked great in spots, and I think as the season goes on, especially as a rookie, he will cement himself as a lock tight end in fantasy lineups. He's dealing with injuries right now with Jaden Daniels, and then he also didn't lose T. Higgins to an injury, but you lose the quarterback to T. Higgins, and that puts a big damper on T. Higgins' ceiling. And then Marvin Harrison Jr., it's just one of those where you don't know. I have the fortune of this being after the Thursday night game and seeing Marvin Harrison Jr. have a great fourth quarter, but you hope for Marvin Harrison Jr. and for Colt's team that breaks Marvin Harrison out of his slump. And then like I said, my team MVP for Colt is Christian McCaffrey. Just so much value right now, especially in this iteration of the 49ers where a lot of their other talented players like Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle are injured. Just a very, very productive player. At 8 here, we have I Have Given Up Jack's team. Jonathan Taylor has been fantastic, the RB1 overall, and he's looked really good, especially in the good Colts offense. Kyron Williams, he's slightly underperformed for where he was drafted, but seems to be a solid fantasy running back too this year. Tyreek Hill and DJ Moore, very shaky for me. Tyreek Hill did have that one really good week, but the Dolphins, I don't know how much I trust any Dolphins receiver. I think Devon Achane just is such a easy dump-off option for Tua, and we've seen him go to that again and again. Travis Kelce, you can tell he's either lost a step, he has miscommunications, or just doesn't have that same level of commitment to football because you're seeing drops, you're seeing miscommunications between him and Mahomes. Although he's pretty close to meeting starting tight end value. And then Chuba Hubbard has played great so far. I'm not familiar with Chuba's injury, but RB11 in your flex is a very solid play. So looking into Jack's bench here, I would say Jack's top 3 pieces on his bench are all injured right now. CeeDee Lamb out 4 to 6 weeks. Tyrone Tracy, I believe, 2 to 4 weeks. And then Joe Mixon is still out as well. CeeDee Lamb, I think once CeeDee Lamb is back, there's not going to be much of an issue there. Tyrone Tracy, with his absence, Cam Scatterbo performed really well. So I think Tyrone Tracy, you may see a reduced role even when he comes back healthy. But also with Jack, I didn't even mention the quarterback situation. He's bouncing back and forth here a little bit with Dak Prescott and Justin Fields. Dak Prescott losing CeeDee Lamb definitely hurts their passing offense. And then Justin Fields dealing with an injury and not sure how viable he is going to be with the Jets. But I don't think Jack's team is out of it by any means. But through the first 3 weeks, I think there is definitely more to be desired from Jack's team. At 9 here, we have IHOP Challenge, Tim's team. Ashton Genty and Amarian Hampton have underperformed pretty badly for where they were drafted. Amarian Hampton looked good in this past week without Najee Harris in the lineup, but Ashton Genty has looked pretty rough so far. I think Ashton Genty has one of the highest ceilings in the league if he can get things rolling, though. Malik Neighbors, it'll be interesting to see how he looks with Jackson Dart, but he has looked pretty solid so far, actually fantastic so far when he's thrown catchable targets. Devontae Adams, he's been kind of like a one big play guy for the Rams. Like he'll catch like a 30 or 40-yard touchdown. But so far that's been working for Tim. Tucker Kraft, this is one where you'd be like, oh, this has been a big hit for Tim. But unfortunately, he missed that one big Tucker Kraft week. But if he commits to Tucker Kraft the rest of the season, I think that will be a good piece for Tim. Javonte Williams started out really hot, but with the Dallas offense losing CeeDee Lamb, you could tell how the teams defended the Cowboys changed a little bit. And just overall, I think they'll be in the red zone less, which could lead to less touchdowns for Javonte Williams. Bo Nix, I'm not super worried about Bo Nix. They had a rough opening 3 games schedule, so I think Bo Nix will be able to improve. But something that is core to, I think, championship teams, it's very hard to build a championship team if you do not have a plus quarterback or a plus tight end. So for Tim's team, he needs either Bo Nix or Tucker Kraft to elevate themselves into that category because he didn't draft either of them as like a plus tight end or a plus quarterback at that position. So I think that will be a big reason for why Tim's team is successful or his team is kind of middles around 500. And then Tim has some pretty strong bench wide receivers in Michael Pittman and Wan'Dale Robinson. But team MVP for Tim's team is Malik Neighbors. He's just way too talented of a wide receiver to ever consider moving, and I think that will be the benchmark for Tim's team. At 10 here we have Big Papa Jack's team. This team is pretty shaky for me. Saquon Barkley severely underperformed where he was drafted. Chase Brown severely underperformed where he was drafted. A.J. Brown severely underperformed where he was drafted. Trey Tucker, he's shown as wide receiver 4. That was not the points for Trey Tucker were not in Jack's lineup for that performance. So that's not really, I guess, a big factor into his first 3 weeks' performance. Sam Laporta has not performed up to where he was drafted. Kenneth Walker, he's performing pretty solid for where he was drafted. But as you just heard me go through that lineup, I'm not trying to berate these players. I liked a lot of these players coming into the season. I liked Chase Brown a ton coming into the season. I liked A.J. Brown coming into the season. But a lot of these players have underperformed. So he has some solid pieces on his bench, Ricky Pearsall and Mike Evans, who's dealing with an injury. But this is just a team where a lot of the pieces just haven't worked out. So I think Jack has either a lot of work to do in the trade market or just going to have to hope for much better output from these players to see a turnaround or just any long-term success with his team. So looking at the overall rankings here, I think there's 3 tiers of teams. I think the first tier includes teams like MAGA Kitchens, Mahomes Magic Show, Call of Jeudy, and Colt 45s. I think these teams have shown to be able to score a high amount of fantasy points consistently. Colt 45s, he can't be any higher than 7 at 0-3. If he literally had 1 win, he would be in the first spot right now. But at some point, you do just have to actually win a game. That second tier of teams includes Greatest Ever, Team Elyaderani, Lisan al-Gaib, I Have Given Up, and Ihop Challenge. I think these teams have talented pieces. I think situation has affected some of these teams' players, but I think that there is legitimate avenues for these teams to make the playoffs or have playoff runs. And then that third tier is Big Papa. I really I don't know where this team is going to make that jump to really be a player long term. If I were to pick a fantasy champion based on the rest of the season with what we know now, as opposed to using these 3 weeks as where you get your status from. If I were to just project from what we know, I think Call of Duty has a very strong lineup that is going to be getting Rashee Rice and pieces that are stable and in high fantasy value roles. And then if I were to pick a team that is outside of the top 6 right now that would make a deep run in the playoffs, it would be Colt 45s. I think Colt's team, as long as those running backs stay healthy, is a very powerful team. That will be the power rankings video for week 3. The intel video and the recap video will be on schedule for next week. So thank you guys.